Zayden was still laughing when his body started to twitch. Tiffany's smile froze. Her wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the hardwood floor. Around the table, her smug little circle of friends were choking, hands at their throats, eyes bulging, panic exploding in the room like a grenade. I didn't move. I just sat there, calmly watching it all happen. 10 minutes earlier, that same group was laughing at me. And Tiffany, my wife, the woman I built my life around, stood up in front of everyone, grabbed a plate of spaghetti, and smashed it into my face. The sauce burned. The noodles slapped against my cheek. And she said, with that cruel, rehearsed grin, "I always knew you were better on your knees." They laughed like it was a game, like I was the clown at their private roast. What they didn't know was that dinner had been the rehearsal. This was the performance. Let me back up, just for a second. Because if you're wondering how we got from pasta to panic, it started with silence. Mine. Too many nights pretending not to see her smirks at her phone. Too many mornings waking up to a cold bed and hotter lies. And Zayden? The man who sat in my chair, drank my wine, and ran his fingers along her thigh under the table like I wasn't even there? He was the final note in a song that had been playing for months. I just hadn't turned the volume up high enough until now. So yeah, maybe this dinner was my idea. Maybe I cooked the food. Maybe I poured every glass. And maybe I knew exactly who they really were when they laughed at me. But now they knew who I was. And the real story, the one you came for, starts right here, in this room, with a plate of spaghetti still dripping from my face, and my wife gasping for air as the siren screamed louder in the distance. This wasn't revenge. This was the truth served cold. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of guilt, because there wasn't any. Just clarity. When the sirens faded and the lights stopped flashing against the walls of my house, when the paramedics rolled out the bodies and the neighbors whispered behind their curtains, I was still sitting there. Same spot. Same calm. Just me and the stain of marinara sauce drying on my collar like a scar. You want to know how I found out? It started with a pair of heels. Not just any heels, those red ones. Tiffany never wore them around me. Said they hurt her feet. Said they were too much. But one Thursday night, I came home early from work. My meeting had been canceled last minute, and I thought I'd surprise her. Instead, I surprised myself. The living room was dark, but I heard music upstairs. Something slow, sultry. I crept up like a stranger in my own house. Our bedroom door was cracked open, and through it, I saw Tiffany standing in front of the mirror, adjusting those red heels, and nothing else. Her hair was pinned up. Her perfume hung in the air like a lie. She wasn't getting dressed. She was getting ready. She didn't hear me step back. Didn't see me take the stairs down like a ghost. I sat in the kitchen, hands clenched, heart numb, and waited. At exactly 8:42 p.m., a black BMW pulled into the driveway. Not mine. I watched from the shadows as she ran downstairs, laughing, glowing, lips glossed and curled into something I hadn't seen in years. She didn't even look back. They drove off. I didn't follow. Not that night. I didn't scream or break things. I just sat there, cold, silent, watching the way everything I built slipped through a crack I didn't know was even there. She came back 3 hours later, reeking of musk and arrogance. "Didn't hear you come in," she said casually, slipping off the heels like they didn't mean anything. "How was your day?" I nodded. "Fine." And that's when I knew. She thought I was weak. She thought I wouldn't do anything. And honestly, she wasn't wrong, not yet. But I started watching. Every detail. Every whisper. Every text she tried to hide by angling her phone away. Every fake smile. Every girl's night that ended in silence and red lipstick smudges on her collar. Not mine. It got worse. She started bringing her friends over. The giggling ones. Chelsea. Madison. Some guy named Trevor who always just happened to show up after me. They made jokes in front of me. They tested how far they could go before I snapped. Turns out, very far. The night I found the hotel receipt in her jacket pocket was the final nail. Room 408. 2 nights. Champagne ordered at 2 a.m. A message on the bill that read, "You wore those heels just for me." I memorized the handwriting. That's how I knew it was Zayden. He had a habit of signing his name like a teenager, looped letters, a little heart where the dot should be over the I. Like he thought he was a gift. I laughed when I saw it. Not because it was funny, but because that's when the idea started forming. The dinner. The setup. The finale. And now? They were gone. Or close enough to it. And me? I had finally stopped pretending. You can only be betrayed so many times before silence becomes strategy. And if Tiffany thought a plate of spaghetti to the face would be the peak of my humiliation, she had no idea what rock bottom looked like for me. But she was about to. And trust me, we're just getting started. They kept me at the station for 6 hours. The officer across the table, Detective Marshall, tried every tactic in the book. Soft voice, hard voice, the good cop, bad cop act. He leaned forward, eyes narrowed, asking again and again, "Did you know what was in the wine?" And I kept repeating the same line. I drank it too. Technically true. I had a sip. Just enough not to look suspicious. Just enough not to join them on the floor. He didn't have anything. No direct evidence, no confession. Just a room full of unconscious narcissists and a man who'd had enough. They let me go. Outside, the air was sharp and clean, like the city itself didn't know how to process what had just happened. I lit a cigarette, even though I hadn't smoked in years, and let the silence stretch. The moment I walked to my car, I saw her, Tiffany, sitting on the hood, arms crossed, pale, furious, alive. The ambulance had saved her. Barely. "You think you're clever?" she hissed before I could say a word. Her voice was shredded, like something had clawed at her vocal cords from the inside. I didn't answer. She got off the car, came inches from my face. "They said it was poisoning. You did this. I cooked the meal. That's all." Her eyes flared. "You tried to kill me. You threw a plate of food at my face in front of your boyfriend. You mocked me. You humiliated me. Don't act surprised that dinner didn't end with dessert." She laughed, bitter and cruel. "You think this is over?" "I know it's not," I said. "But you should ask yourself one thing, Tiffany." "What?" "How many cameras do you think I installed in our house over the last 3 months?" Her face changed. Just a flicker, but I saw it. Fear. Real, sharp-edged fear. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, calculating. She didn't know. She really didn't know. And that was the best part. Because there weren't any. Not yet. But she wouldn't take that risk. She'd think twice about every lie, every move. For once in her life, she wasn't in control. I leaned in. "You want to play games? I can play harder. But you're already losing." Then I got in my car and drove off without another word. For the next few days, everything changed. Her friends stopped calling. Zayden disappeared. The news picked up the story, of course. Influencer dinner ends in chaos. Mysterious illness sends 5 to hospital. But no one said my name. I was a ghost in the narrative. The loyal husband. The background figure. That made it better. Tiffany didn't leave. She didn't file for divorce. She stayed in the house. But not with me. She slept in the guest room. She stopped cooking. Stopped talking. The silence was delicious. But the best part? The way she started checking her phone less. The way she glanced at the hallway camera I installed, real this time. The way she paused before saying anything in a room with me. She was unraveling. And I was just getting comfortable. But then something happened I didn't expect. She brought someone new into the house. Not a man. A lawyer. And that's when I realized Tiffany wasn't going to run. She was going to fight. And I had to decide, was I going to burn it all down? Or was I going to take everything she thought she could steal? Because I wasn't finished. Not even close. The lawyer's name was Grant. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. He walked into my house like he owned it, like he was already preparing to divide up the empire I built. Tiffany trailed behind him, playing the victim, her voice just raspy enough to remind him of what she'd been through. She was good at that, using her own mess as leverage. "Mr. Walker," Grant said, extending a hand I didn't take. "We're here to talk about a clean separation. Tiffany wants to be civil." I almost laughed. Civility died the night she threw pasta in my face and dared me to stay silent. "I bet she does," I said. "After everything." Tiffany stepped forward. "This doesn't have to get ugly, Evan. You've made your little statement. We all get it. But it's time to move on." Statement. That's what she called it. Like I'd written a tweet, not watched a room full of people collapse because they thought humiliating me was entertainment. Grant cleared his throat. "There's a proposal. 50-50 split. No alimony. She walks with the house. You keep the lake property." I looked at Tiffany. She didn't blink. She thought she had me cornered. "You know what?" I said calmly. "That sounds fair." Her eyes widened. Just a twitch. She didn't expect that. She expected me to argue. To fight. She thought she had power. "Just one thing," I added. "I want the files." Grant looked confused. "What files?" "The ones on her hard drive. The folder labeled studio. Password protected." Tiffany turned white. I smiled. "Oops. Guess your boyfriend didn't teach you how to hide things very well." Grant looked at her. Tiffany. She snapped. There's nothing in there. He's bluffing. I leaned back in the chair. Then give them to me. Grant adjusted his collar. We'll need to review the request. Take your time, I said, standing up. But let me be clear. If you try to screw me out of this house, those files become public. And I promise you, Tiffany, your little brand won't survive even 10 seconds of it. She was shaking now. Rage and panic fighting for dominance. You're blackmailing me, she hissed. No. I'm reminding you who you're dealing with. They left in silence. That night, she didn't sleep in the guest room. She left the house, packed a bag and vanished for 3 days. I didn't call, didn't care. I spent the time going through her abandoned laptop, backing up every photo, every video, every message she thought she deleted. I wasn't just going to win. I was going to erase her. By day 4, her lawyer called back. Mr. Walker, the house is yours. And Tiffany has decided to walk away from all claims. In exchange, she asks that you delete the contents of that folder. I already did. I lied. But I appreciate the gesture. Are we done here? I hung up without answering. The next day, she came back. Not with fire, but with fake tears. Evan, can we just talk? Please. I let her stand there in the doorway, mascara already smudging, her suitcase dragging behind her like a leash. She looked smaller than I remembered. Deflated. I didn't move. She stepped closer. I made mistakes. I know that. But we don't have to end like this. I stared at her. At the woman who once laughed at me with a plate in her hand and hate in her heart. No, I said quietly. You're right. We don't. She blinked, hopeful. We ended the second you let him touch you. Her face crumbled. I walked past her, out the door, into the morning light. I didn't look back. I had one more stop to make. One more name to cross off. Zayden. I found him exactly where I knew he'd be. Not in hiding. Not at a lawyer's office. Not curled up in guilt or fear. Zayden was at a rooftop bar in Midtown, laughing with 2 women who couldn't have been older than 22. Dressed in that same smug leather jacket he wore the night he sat at my table, drinking my wine, touching my wife under the table like I didn't exist. He didn't see me coming. I walked up behind him, slow and calm, and said, I hear spaghetti stains are hard to get out of leather. He turned, and for a second, he didn't recognize me. Then he did. His smile dropped like a stone. The women sensed it, how quickly the air around us shifted, and one of them touched his arm. Zay, who's this? He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I could see the calculations in his head, who else was watching, what I was going to do, whether I was carrying something. I wasn't. I'm just here to talk, I said, smiling slightly. Man to man. You've had your fun, your thrill, your games. But I'm here to tell you something you need to understand. He stayed silent. I stepped in closer, lowered my voice. You thought she'd leave me for you. She didn't. You thought humiliating me made you the alpha. It didn't. You thought she loved you. I leaned even closer, just enough that he couldn't pretend not to listen. She never even respected you. The girls looked uncomfortable. One of them whispered something and grabbed her purse. Good. They should see what kind of man he really was. Zayden laughed, trying to regain footing. Look, man, she said you two were done. That you were boring. Controlling. She said a lot of things. And she'll say more. But here's the truth, Zayden. She used you because she could. Because you're too dumb to know the difference between power and access. His face flushed red. He stood up too fast, bumping the table. You're lucky I didn't press charges, I said, stepping back now. For what happened at that dinner. For what you both tried to pull. But let me be clear, stay out of my life. Stay out of my city. You're done here. He took a breath like he wanted to fight. But he didn't. Because he couldn't. Because for the first time, he was looking at a man with nothing to lose and everything already taken, and that's the most dangerous kind. I walked away. I didn't look back. Not even when one of the girls called after me. By the time I got home, the house felt different. Not lighter. Not warmer. Just mine again. The guest room was empty. Her suitcase gone. A note on the kitchen counter. You win. I'm done playing. T. No apology. No explanation. Just surrender. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just sat at the table where it all began, where the laughter once echoed, where the food hit my face, where they thought I'd break. I poured a glass of wine. Not to celebrate. Just to mark the end. Everything was quiet now. And in that silence, I finally understood something. She never broke me. She revealed me. And I wasn't the same man who stood there and took it. I was the one who ended it. The silence didn't last. A week after the final note, I got a message from Chelsea. Yeah, that Chelsea. Tiffany's little sidekick. The one who laughed the loudest that night. The one who once joked I looked like a sad accountant with anger issues right to my face. Her message was short. We need to talk. It's about Tiffany. Urgent. I stared at it for 10 minutes before replying. Not because I cared about her, but because urgent from a snake like Chelsea meant only one of two things. Someone was bleeding, or someone was about to. We met at a downtown cafe. Public enough to avoid drama. Quiet enough to hear the truth. She looked rough. No makeup, hoodie pulled over her dyed blonde hair, eyes darting behind her like she was afraid of shadows. Tiff spiraling, she said before I could sit down. She's saying crazy sh*t, threatening people. Talking about exposing you, about revenge. I sipped my coffee. There's nothing to expose. Chelsea leaned in. She says she has recordings. Audio. Messages you sent. Claims you confessed to the food thing. I met her eyes. I didn't. She doesn't care. She wants to make you look guilty. Said if she can't win, she'll burn everything around you just to feel the heat. Typical Tiffany. If she couldn't wear the crown, she'd poison the throne. What do you want from me? I asked. Chelsea hesitated, chewing her lip like she wasn't used to sincerity. I want to be done with her. I know where she keeps her backups. I can show you. I just don't want her dragging me down too. I paused, then nodded once. We left 10 minutes later, took her car. She drove fast, like she was trying to outrun guilt. The place? Some storage unit in a forgotten part of town. One of those facilities with flickering lights and broken cameras. She punched in the code, pulled up the roll-up door, and pointed to a black duffel bag in the corner. There. Bottom compartment. She always keeps the burner phone and the USB in there. That's her leverage. I walked over, unzipped it, and there it was. A flash drive. A locked phone. A small notebook full of her twisted little scribbles, half threats, half plans. She'd written down everything like it was a script for a role she still thought she'd play. You didn't see me, Chelsea muttered, stepping back. I was never here. She peeled away in her car, tires squealing. Back home, I plugged in the drive. Hours of audio recordings. Some real. Most edited. Fabricated. A version of me that didn't exist, violent, unhinged, desperate. She'd been building a case. Or at least the illusion of one. She thought she'd control the story. But now I had the script. I made copies. Stored them 3 places. Burned the original. And then, just for good measure, I sent her a message. You try to destroy me, I destroy your story. Choose peace, Tiffany. She didn't reply. 2 nights later, I got a call. Unknown number. I answered. Her voice was quiet. Shaken. You win, she whispered. I'm leaving the country. Where to? Doesn't matter. And just like that, she hung up. That was the last time I heard her voice. No apology. No remorse. Just flight. Funny how she always ran when she didn't get the last word. But I didn't need it anymore. Because I'd already said everything I needed to say. With silence, strategy, and the one thing she never expected me to have. Control. A month passed. Then another. No news of Tiffany. No surprise headlines. No secret footage leaked to the press. She had vanished as promised, leaving behind scorched bridges and empty wine bottles. The house grew quieter by the day. No clacking heels, no fake phone calls at midnight, no whispers behind locked doors. It wasn't peace, exactly. But it was something close. I got my sleep back. My appetite. My mind. I started going to the gym again, not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted to look in the mirror and not see a man broken by betrayal. And just when I thought it was finally over, when the wounds had turned to thin scars, I opened the mailbox and found a letter with no return address. Inside, a single photograph. Tiffany, on a yacht, drink in hand, wearing that same red dress from our 10th anniversary, the one I bought her in Italy. Her hair was longer, her face sharper, but the smile? Still poisonous. On the back of the photo, in her handwriting. You didn't bury me. You fed me. I stood in my kitchen, holding that photo like it'd wait. Like it could tip the world back into chaos. But it didn't. It made me laugh. Because that was her final move, a postcard from a lie. Proof she hadn't changed. That even across oceans, she still needed to be seen, still needed to win. Except she already lost. Because I didn't care anymore. That photo didn't bring rage. It brought clarity. She wasn't a monster. She was just empty. The kind of person who feeds on chaos because calm terrifies her. I used to think I could fix that. that I could love the venom out of her. But now I understood, you don't save snakes. You step back and let them slither out of your life. That night, I burned the photo. No ceremony, no emotion, just fire, heat, and silence. And in that silence, I thought about all the things I'd learned. How betrayal doesn't always come with a warning. How humiliation can be fuel. How silence can be sharper than revenge. And how, in the end, the worst thing you can do to someone like Tiffany is move on. So I did. I left the house a month later, sold it, bought a place near the coast. No memories, no stains, just clean walls and ocean air. And every once in a while, I still hear from people who knew her. She's in Ibiza. She's with some club owner in Dubai. She got a nose job. Again, I smile, because while she's still chasing something she'll never catch, I finally caught something real. Myself. And if you're reading this, if you've ever been humiliated, broken, dragged through betrayal and made to feel like nothing, remember this. They only laugh when they think you're done, but they never see what comes after. And that is the part they should fear most. It ended not with a scream, not with another slammed door or final insult. It ended quietly. One morning, I stood in front of the mirror, same eyes, same face, but I barely recognized the man looking back. Not because I was broken, because I was rebuilt. Stronger in the places she tried to hollow out. Colder in the ways that kept me alive. There was no announcement. No moment of dramatic closure. Just a deep breath. A full one. And a strange, simple thought. I'm free. Not just from her. From everything she tried to plant inside me, doubt, self-hate, dependence. That weight she wrapped around my neck every time she smiled and said I wasn't enough? Gone. I started walking again. Really walking. Through life. Through my own story. Without dragging her shadow behind me. She became a ghost. A lesson. A scar I stopped tracing with my fingers. And for the first time in years, I stopped checking who was watching me. Because I didn't need to prove anything anymore. Some people asked why I never went public with what she did. Why I didn't expose her. Ruin her. I tell them the truth. She's already ruined. You don't need to destroy what's hollow. You just stop feeding it. And if you've been there, if someone's ever tried to break you and make you thank them for it, listen closely. You don't owe them pain. You don't owe them forgiveness. You owe yourself your life back. Take it, piece by piece. Breathe again. Stand up straight. And the next time someone tries to throw a plate in your face while the world laughs, let them. Then build a kingdom on the ashes of their applause. Because survival isn't loud. It's quiet. It's brutal. It's earned. And now, I'm finally home.